So here we are moving with the fourth chapter of semester 1 economics major, University of Delhi. So in fourth part, that is 4.4, that is supply and demand in equilibrium, we have completed the first portion of that part, that is competitive equilibrium price and quantity, all these concepts, excess supply, excess demand, all these concepts. Okay, now we are moving to the next part, that is curve shifting in competitive equilibrium. Okay, for that so these are the definitions of next graphs, you can note them down. So this is the curve. Okay, so here in this graph we'll be discussing how a sudden shock to the production of a particular commodity affects its equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Okay, here we are taking the example of oil production, oil markets, and the incident is 2011 Libya oil crisis, that they suddenly stopped production of oil. So what happened? The supply decreased, the quantity supplied decreased. Thus the first supply was here, as the Libyan government, Libya stopped their oil production, the supply decreased. So now the new supply curve is here. So in order to reduce the demand, the price will be increased. Okay, first the equilibrium price was here, then to get rid of the demand, the equilibrium price now is here. The price is increased, so the demand will automatically get reduced. Okay, so here we can see, that is, since oil has become more scarce, the price of oil needs to rise from its old level to equate quantity supplied and quantity demanded. The rise in equilibrium oil price is associated with a movement along the demand curve. Why? Because demand is still, what changes is the supply. So it will be a movement. The equilibrium price will be a movement along the demand curve. Okay. Next graph. So this is what happens when there is a shift of to left. Okay. Next, a shift to right. So what can be the reasons for the production curve, the supply curve to shift to rightwards? Technological breakthrough will shift the supply curve to right. Okay, because it is now more easy, as the technology has improved or any new machines have been found. So it is now more easy to produce a particular quantity of goods with less labor or with any less efforts, less inputs. So with the improvement in technology, the supply will automatically increase. So first the supply curve was here, and now the supply curve is here. Okay. So what happens? First the price was here. Okay, the demand curve is still, the supply curve shifts to rightwards. The equilibrium price was here, the quantity was here. So now as the technology improved, more goods are supplied. That means there are more goods in the market, and all these goods have to be sold out. Right. So they need to increase the demand, or else these goods will pile up. They have to be sold out. So they will decrease the price. So the demand will automatically increase. Like that, they will create an equilibrium. So the new equilibrium is here. Okay. So here also we saw the fall in equilibrium prices associated with a movement along the demand curve. Next is another situation where, okay, so here we have a situation. What would happen if rising environmental concerns and new energy saving technologies led consumers to use less oil at any given price. Okay, usually we studied that when the price is reduced, when the price is decreased, the demand will increase, right? But here in this graph, we can see that the price is decreased. Now, earlier it was here, now this price has decreased to this point. So the equilibrium price or equilibrium part has decreased to this point. But then also the demand decreased. First the demand was here, but the demand also decreased. Price also decreased. So what would be the reason? The reason is, here in this graph we can see that change in consumers' taste and technology shifts the demand curve for oil to the left. So first the demand decreased due to the change in taste and preference of the consumer. The demand decreased first. It gave a leftward shift. Okay. Then the price fell. The price fell after that shift. And the fall in price causes the quantity supplied to fall. As the prices decrease, the suppliers will reduce the quantity supplied because they are not making much profit with the reduced price, with the decreased price. So with the fall in demand, the fall in supply, it led to the fall in supply. It led to the decrease of the price. Quantity supplied decreased. So the fall in price and fall in equilibrium quantity are both consequences of the leftward shift in the demand curve. Okay, that is first itself the demand curve shifted, demand decreased. That's why the price fell. So that is the main reason why the old theory of ours, that which means that the price fall then the demand increase, is not working here, because first itself the demand decreased. The shift of demand curve for oil to the left is the reason, the leftward shift in the demand curve is the reason for the fall in price and the fall in equilibrium quantity. Okay. So next, we are done with that part. Next, we are moving to another situation where, so in all these three graphs which we analyzed now, we analyzed three graphs, right? 4.13, 4.14, then now 4.15. In these three graphs, only one of the curve is getting shifted, either the demand or the supply curve shifts at a time. But in reality, there are situations where both curves shift at the same time. For example, the fracking revolution has shifted the supply curve for oil to the right. Technology improvement will shift the supply curve for the oil to the right. At the same time, that rising environmental consciousness and energy saving technology shifts the demand curve for oil to the left. So there are many possible combinations of shifts. Here we will be discussing three combinations. So here are the three graphs. Sorry. So S1 as the old supply curve, P1 is the old price, then D1 is the old demand curve, P2, S2, D2 are all the new ones. Okay. And yeah, same with the quantity as well. So here we can see in the first graph, A, B, C, three graphs are here. In these three graphs, both the supply and demand curve moves at the same time, shifts at the same time. In the first graph, we can see the supply curve is only shifting little, but whereas the demand curve is shifting more. That means the shift of the demand curve is dominating in the first graph. When the demand curve dominates, quantity get reduced. Okay, equilibrium quantity also equilibrium also then get reduced. In the second graph, we can see both the shifts are equal. That is, Q1 is equal to Q2. Both this part are somewhat equal. Okay, that means no shift is getting dominated here. Both are equal. So, in the first graph we saw the leftward shift is dominating, so the quantity decreased. In the second graph, equilibrium quantity stays exactly the same. Q1 is equal to Q2. In the third graph, now we are talking of the quantity only, okay? In the third graph, we can see the demand curve shifts only a little, whereas the supply curve dominates. The rightward shift of the supply curve dominates. So, when the supply curve dominates, when the rightward shift in supply dominates, the quantity increases. So, the equilibrium point shifts rightwards. Okay. In all these three cases, what happens? Price only get reduced. So, in all these three cases, whether the demand is more than supply, demand equal to supply, demand less than supply, all these three cases, the price will only get reduced. Okay, but the direction of adjustment of the equilibrium quantity depends on the relative size of the shift in the demand and supply curve. That we studied. When demand is more, quantity gets reduced. So the demand curve shifts leftwards. When the demand is equal to supply, no change is there. Just the price get reduced. So at that, only the price get reduced there. The quantity is not getting changed. So here. And when the demand is lesser than supply, that is when supply is more, the quantity increases, so the equilibrium point shifts rightwards. Okay, so here when the demand curve shift left and the supply curve shift right, the competitive equilibrium price will always decrease, but the competitive equilibrium quantity may move in either direction or stay the same. Okay, next is for point 5. So here we are discussing like what would happen if the government tried to dictate the price of gasoline instead of market conditions. Okay, government is dictating the price of gasoline. So before that we can study two situations: price ceiling and price floor. Okay, so this is the demand, this is the supply, and the equilibrium price and quantity have to be this is not X. Okay, so this have to be the equilibrium price and this have to be the equilibrium quantity. This is how the market situations have to work, right? Q. Okay. Here again, price floor is a concept. That is, when a farmer is cultivating, let's say, sugarcane or rubber or any such plantation, any such crop. He is putting lot of his efforts, his money, his labor, his time for this cultivation in the hope that after the harvest, while he is selling them, he will get a profit. That is a price which is more than his expenditure. He will get a cost which is, a price. He could sell them in a price which is more than the expenditure. which took him to cultivate these crops. He need to buy the manure, he need electricity, he need irrigation, he need labor. For all these, money is required, right? So he need to get more money than the expenditure to get a profit. Then only he will be happy, or he could make a living with that. He or she could make a living with that. What happens if, due to a reasons of any import products or any natural calamities or any macroeconomic or any reasons, the farmer is getting exploited here, that he or she is forced to sell this particular commodity under this equilibrium price. Okay, there will be situations like that. There will be mainly because of any middleman, due to some of, like in the old time we had zamindars, and during the colonization period, because of zamindars and other middlemen, the farmers were exploited, though his or her crop or food or commodity, or let's say if any service, it was valued well with the equilibrium price, but as there were many middlemen to exploit them, they couldn't get that profits or any justified income with their work. Okay, so he will be forced to sell his product in a price which is here, where he is getting exploited. So to avoid such situations, the governments will be interfering here, where the government will put a price floor. Either this commodity should be sold in this equilibrium price, or it must not go, the price must not go under a particular price which the government sets. This particular price is called price floor. Okay. So price floor is a minimum price that a product, service or commodity can be sold for, as set by government or group. It's a type of price support along the supply regulation and government purchase price guarantees. The government will purchase their products at this particular price. Like that, all it happens. Next is next is price ceiling. Okay, let's see what price ceiling is. In the same graph, we can see one minute. Any other graph I'll take.